Like, the Beatles didn't have to get up every day and worry about if they were going to post their TikTok too late into the day that day.
It's all about the aura. The lyrical content doesn't even matter. Is it a vibe or not?
The worst word has ever found its way to hip-hop is the vibe. DIYers, I stumbled across an article here on Vox.com by Rebecca Jennings that breaks down why specifically millennials, right? Those who kind of fall into my age group may be struggling with social media more than any other generation because of where their morals are aligned, because of the way that they see things, specifically circulating around this term of selling out. This article is excellent. There's also a video we're going to react to that I think shows kind of like the effects of this line of thinking that it's probably having on Gen Z. I'm going to make a pretty crazy connection. You'll see it as we go through it. This person named Rachel, Kay, was shopping around her book proposal. The editors at a Big Five publishing house loved the idea of her book. The problem came from the marketing department, which had an issue. She didn't have a big enough following with any book, but especially nonfiction ones. Publishers want to guarantee that a writer comes with a built-in audience of people who already read and support their work, crucially. That will also fork over $27, a typical price for a new hardcover book when it debuts. Who that sound like? Who that sound like, DIYers? Sound like rapper problems to me. Hold on, why everybody going through rapper shit, bro? It was ironic considering her proposal was about what the age of the personal brand is doing to our humanity. Albers, 39, is an expert in what she calls the online business industrial complex, the network of hucksters vying for your attention and money by selling you courses and coaching on how to get rich online. Yeah, baby. She's talking about the hustle bro gurus. Hustle bro gurus is hilarious. Flaunting rented Lamborghinis and promoting shady passive income schemes. Yes, but she's also talking about the bizarre fact that her 65-year-old mom, who's an accountant, is being encouraged by her company to post on LinkedIn to build her brand. Now, this article is going to specifically talk about how this is also affecting artists, millennial independent artists. The internet has made it so that no matter who you are or what you do, from 9-to-5 middle managers to astronauts to house cleaners, you cannot escape the tyranny of the personal brand. For some, it looks like updating your LinkedIn connections whenever you get promoted. For others, it's asking customers to give you 5 stars on Google reviews. For still more, it's crafting an engaging but authentic persona on Instagram. And for people who hope to publish a bestseller or release a hit record, it's building a platform. Ooh. Rewind me back to 2003 when I started this, and somebody would have came to me and been like, yeah, you're making music, Curtis, but how are you going to build a platform? I might have walked the opposite direction, like this ain't the job for me. So that execs can use your existing audience to justify the cost of signing a new artist, because justifying that based upon your art is too risky, of course. We like to think of it as the work of singular geniuses whose motivations are purely creative and untainted by the market. This, despite the fact that music, publishing, and films have always been for-profit industries where formulaic, churned-out work is what often sells best. These days, the jig is up. Corporate consolidation and streaming services have depleted artists' traditional sources of revenue and decimated cultural industries. While big tech sites like Spotify claim they are democratizing culture, they instead demand artists engage in double the labor and make a fraction of what they would have made under the old model. You know, that more direct-to-consumer model.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
You ever thought about streaming like that? Or Spotify in particular? Now they like, yo, I want you to do quadruple the work on social media to pump this link, and I want to pay you fraction of the... Wait, hold on. Okay, we're not gonna pay you a fraction of the price until you reach 1,000 streams in a year. You ready, team? Let's go. Crazy. Do I sound insane still to some of y'all? That's crazy. The labor amounts to constant self-promotion in the form of cheap trend-following, ever-changing posting strategies, and the nagging feeling that what you are really doing with your time is marketing, not art. You ever get that feeling, DIYers, where you just I'm in the midst of a promotion for 2 albums right now. You ever get that feeling like, damn, when did I become a promoter? You obviously want to promote your brand and you want to do it on a consistent basis in whatever authentic way that you know possible. But you ever get to the point where you're like, I do a lot of video editing. I'm like, when did I become a video editor? I spend more time with that sometimes than mixing and mastering, because that's just the expectation of getting this done in a timely manner. Interesting. Under the tyranny of algorithmic media distribution, artists, authors, anyone whose work concerns itself with what it means to be human now have to be entrepreneurs too. Authors are writing these incredible books, and yet when they ask me questions, the thing that keeps them up at night is, how do I create this brand? Says literary agent Carly Waters. It's not that they want to be spending their time doing it, it's that they feel they have to. I think that millennials and Gen Xers really feel like sellouts. It's not what they imagine their career to look like. It inherently feels wrong with their value system. I think this is interesting because I think this is another reason why so many Gen Xers and millennials get on these podcasts and talk about how they got took advantage of, because they took their very purest perspectives on music, their pure attachment to the craft, and allow people who don't give a damn about that to bank out on them and make money off of that purity by doing some impure things to pump it. Because self-promotion sucks. It is actually very boring and not that fun to produce TikTok videos or to learn email marketing for this purpose. Hardly anyone wants to build a platform. We want to just have one. This is what people sign up for now when they go for the American dream, working for yourself and making money doing what you love. The labor of self-promotion or platform building or audience growing or whatever our tech overloads want us to call it is uncomfortable. It is by no means guaranteed to be effective, and it is inescapable unless you are very, very lucky. And so it goes to kind of break down how this affects the consumers as well, and I want to kind of fast forward a little bit. In an essay collection, The 90s by Chuck Klosterman, defines the term sellout not as someone who sells something in order to get rich, but someone who compromises their values to do so. That's how I've always understood selling out is to compromise your morals. This action was particularly bad if the compromised person was still doing the same work they'd done before. He writes, except now packaging that work in an attempt to make it palatable to a less discriminating audience. Even at the time, there was pushback against the idea of criticizing artists for selling out, that it was a naive and hypocritical concept that punished ambition and innovation. It was a loser's game and everyone knew it, he writes, but it was a loser's game you still had to play. I'm going to end on this part right here. It says, the problem is that America more or less runs on the concept of selling out. The stigma, if it ever meaningfully existed, didn't last beyond the Great Recession, and by the time most people joined some form of social media, Peter saw his prophecy fulfilled. Over the last decade, mass layoffs in supposedly stable industries, stagnant wages, and general disillusionment with corporate work have made entrepreneurship increasingly attractive to young people who said that they'd just rather be their own bosses. Even for those who never wanted to become entrepreneurs, larger economic shifts have forced them to act as if though they are. There's a few examples here that it shows. I want to get down to this one because I thought this video I've been wanting to react to. There's a video that went supremely viral on TikTok. It came over here to Instagram too. And this girl was kind of poking fun at how some of these artists use like the most cringe ways to promote their music on TikTok. Like, did I just write the song of the summer? A song of the summer? That type of shit.
We're not built for this new era. Do you know?
This creator goes on to make the point that if Tom York or, any other artsy artist had to exist during this era, they would be on here like, did I just make the song of the summer? And then, insert whatever cool artsy song from whatever era. And it's a funny joke, but as an artist on a major label right now who got their deal through having a TikTok moment, 3 years after that, I have to rant about this because this is I think about this every single day, all day long. This is my lived experience. It is something that I worry that people aren't clocking in terms of how dangerous this is for our culture. It is not a coincidence that there are no big new artists. And some of them, there are some, and some of them are coming from this platform. But many of those people, and I'm not going to say any names, grew up with a lot of help. And if you grew up without a lot of money, then it's increasingly more rare that you are able to have an interesting career in art. And in my opinion, that is almost exclusively because of the economic model. And it's not just poor kids or middle class kids. It's everybody. Even if you were lucky enough to go to USC or Berkeley or wherever and have the definite access you get from going to those schools, like concrete help you get from just being in those systems, you still have to post TikToks ad nauseum and distance people and make yourself look actively uncool in front of the world, because the world has found a way to put most of the marketing burden onto the artist who's supposed to be working on art. Like, the Beatles didn't have to get up every day and worry about if they were going to post their TikTok too late into the day that day.
They was too busy putting all them damn multi-channels together and creating more instruments than they could perform live on Sgt. Pepper. Read up on that. Crazy. They wasn't dealing with that. They was up here trying to bend the borders of what music can be done. It's crazy.
On an album for 3 months in the woods anymore, because then you wouldn't have an internet connection to make the TikToks about the experience and vlog it and you have to, this infects your mind. You can't make art the same way anymore, and that's not just because the internet is around and all this stuff, and this affects every part of art, and I know that, but the way that you make music is to fuck off. The way that you make art is to be, either alone or in a collab, whatever, but I'm going to speak to my experience, and it is that even when you get here to a label, it doesn't end. In fact, it might become more important to continue posting your stuff so that you don't lose momentum.
I'm sick and tired of playing business and all of that pretending. I done heard a million ways to make a million. Now I'm really about to get it, and I don't care who get offended. There's a limit on my time and it's ticking. Man, I'm tired of playing business, and now I know that y'all pretending. I done heard a million ways you'll get paid, but now I'm really out here getting it. And I don't care who get offended. I can't let you waste my time, homie, quit it. I don't wanna hang around you rappers if this music ain't your passion. Not cause I'm a purist, but clearly I feel detachment. It's two categories of rappers I thought was cracking. So you look inside their eyes and see a little Donnie Brasco, the rapper on the TV that be lying about his dreams, and the up and coming rapper that be lying about his dreams. I thought that he was merely a product of a lot of practice, working on his craft, but he been working on his acting. And in the underground you got a man that's a distraction. He always wanna build, but he ain't never got a ratchet. You always talking money, nigga, you a Franklin Hatchet. Wanna ball, but you never come to practice. Sick and tired of playing business.
There's a balance that we're going to have to speak about that I feel like there will be think pieces about at some point in time, years and years away from my generation, probably furthermore for the younger viewers and listeners here, that they will do think pieces about this time period in which they had, literally all of us, most of us think it's by our own choice, but they've had all of us believe that there is no success for you if you're not posting every day consistently, even at the sake of quality going down. And I feel like that is not just a result of the way that they're pushing the business or pushing the priority of virality within music. I think that's just a statement of society at large. And I think every generation finds its new thing to separate itself from the prior one, right? This line of thinking started me down a rabbit hole and understanding kind of like what some of the new artists who don't value lyrics, they don't value sonics, they don't value equipment, and some of that is kind of cool because it creates a lot of like up and comers who are really innovative and they're using what they have, because no longer having money is not an excuse, because you can use what you have and create and maximize upon that, and some really cool things happen because of that. But it's also creating people who think that that is the standard, and that is something. Even as a DIYer, at one point an up and coming DIYer, I was never under the illusion that this was the same thing as someone who was taking their time to do this. However, as I start to try to understand why some of the artists that sometimes are opposing my videos or they're complete opposite of the idea of selling their music, I start to navigate to content like this clip that was reposted on a well-known hip-hop collector, Newface, on his Instagram. And he kind of put it up here, and criticizing it. But as much as I disagree with what this young dude is getting ready to say, I do applaud him for speaking truth, or his truth at least. He was going off about Killer Mike winning the 3 Grammys, sweeping the rap category, And he gave a young perspective on why he feels disconnected from Killer Mike's music and just that type of music in general. I'm gonna let him talk about it.
About how I did not know who Killer Mike was. I woke up to 1,000 comments of old heads talking about, oh, how you don't know who Killer Mike is? How you don't know who Killer Mike is? And they gave me a few song suggestions. So on my walk to class, I say, you know what? I'm going to expand my palette. I'm going to actually go in these comments and pick out a few songs and listen to them. I listened to the songs, bro. And still not my cup of tea. But look, I know exactly why I didn't like those songs. The older generation tends to like the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? The lyrics are the most important thing. The content, what he's actually saying. Is he telling a story? Is he saying something? That's the most important thing to them. But for us, it's all about the aura. The lyrical content doesn't even matter. Is it a vibe or not?
What did I tell y'all last week?
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell
What did I tell y'all last week? The worst word that has ever found its way to hip hop is the vibe. The vibe, fam. It's the vibe. I feel like a combination of the demands that are expected of artists nowadays to be literal content machines has created a bit of apathy and less empathy in the actual work, the actual thing that they decide to do. I never thought in my 20 years of doing this would I hear that I don't want my rappers to rap. I just want them to capture a vibe. And yet and still, I always hear, yo, that shit's just a vibe right there. You know the dangerous thing about this, because I once again, I may not agree, but I'm not going to be the old head that talks shit because he disagrees with me. No. I'm just going to just paint this picture. This is dangerous. This is dangerous because if you let these corporations, if you let these major label systems who are providing the messages in the music, if you let them lull you to sleep, you'll be literally hypnotized to whatever messages they give to you because it's a vibe. So I would argue that it's more important than just wanting lyrics because it has some substance. That's what's important to me. If that's not important to him, I think at some point in time, this won't age as well as he may think it will because he's still young. I was young and I had my times. But I do feel like this leaves it open for a lot of things to get through if it's just a vibe. I'm gonna let him finish this out and we're gonna finish this video.
I don't give a damn about the lyrics. Bro could come on the track and saying hum diddly dee. If it has aura, if it sounds good, I'm rocking with that track. And that's the reason I really don't like lyrical rap like that, because they just rapping. They not vibing on the track. They not, you move sloppy, but keep your body in perfect shape. I'm all right. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I...
So I get the statement he's making here, because I do think that as much as I disagree with the lyrics not being important, that's just a wild statement. A very young statement, but it's a very wild statement. I do understand that some people, some lyricists get so self-absorbed into their craft that they do forget that there's a listener listening. This is not us wanting to listen to you. I'm trying not to be foul by saying this. We're not trying to hear you jack off your vocabulary. At some point, it just becomes so self-absorbed that you forget that there is something called music that you're supposed to be creating in the process. I think that lyricism very well could be music in so many different ways, but I do hear some people who won't even ride the beat. Don't even stay on beat.
But yeah, man, I just feel like it's a generational thing. I'm not saying one better than the other, but, you know, I'm just on the side of mumble rap. I just feel like if I wanted to learn some shit, I would just go listen to an audio book or read a book. I don't really look at music to learn shit. Like, I just want to vibe for real. Like,
Hey, what is real life? What is this? Is this life? Is this real life? Like, if I reacted to this shit, I am not here to clown that gentleman. I think that he spoke to his truth, and I think that there's a lot of folks who feel just like him. I wish them the absolute best, but I do feel like there's an expiration date upon that line of thinking. There's a lot of things that I thought about at my age, probably when I was around, I assume he's probably in his early 20s. There's expiration dates upon a lot of the things that I thought were going to be philosophies I held for the rest of my life that I no longer give a damn about. And there are things now, more so than ever, that I do care about in a world that seems to be so disconnected on a mainstream level from actual content. I am more attached to any kind of artist, independent, golden era, anybody that has a message, because I have a different relationship with music. For me, I have a relationship with music that does come with sometimes learning things. I really hope that the millennials, the Gen Xers who are struggling with social media, I would just quote, like I often like to quote, Diamond from Players Club, man. Make the content. Don't let the content make you. Another word for brand is reputation. Another word for content is message. Start to ask yourself, what message do I want to go out today? What part of my catalog, what part of my story of my album do I want to get out there into the world, and why? And the more you do that, the more you start to be able to play this game without compromising your ethics, without compromising who you naturally are. But those are my thoughts, DIYers. You let me know yours. Did I just make the reaction of the song?
DIY.
DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.